your Chrome browser tab set up and you're good. All right. All right, we're going to rock this. We're going to rock this. It's going to be awesome.
All right, we are live. This is the 8th episode of the Dojo Kun Shill Shack, and yes, this one's going to be a little self-serving, folks. I'm going to be showing my own project. So my guest co-host today is from ComicsCast. This is Jerel Motos. Did I say that right?
You did. You did.
Awesome. Cool. So yes, I've been on Jerel's show a number of times. This is the first time he's guested on mine, and I've asked him to come on and help me with the co-host duties because, well, you know, I'm a nervous wreck here because I got all these buttons and all these people, and yeah, I brought it on myself, but it's going to be a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about their projects individually a little bit. We're going to talk about my project that's launching in just a little while here. Before we launch, though, the sign-up page is still out there, folks. So if you still want to get an opportunity to get the secret discount here, make sure you sign up before we launch, which should be at about halfway mark in the show. And the show is about an hour, so you've been warned. So, so yeah. In fact, first, Jerel, let's talk about what you do and the shows that you host, please.
Oh, awesome! First of all, I want to say congratulations to you, Brian. It's going to be awesome. I look forward to seeing more about Tōrō Tales. I think it's going to be a great success. But just like Brian mentioned, I am with ComicsCast. You can find us on Facebook, ComicsCast, as well as Indie ComicsCast on YouTube. And pretty much our whole mantra, our whole mission is to promote the indie community. If you're in indie comics, we want you to be on our show. We want you to be on our future digital comic platform that's coming later on this summer. But it's all about getting some recognition to some talented individuals in the indie community. So look for us on ComicsCast. We are basically a weekend show. So we do things on Friday Freestyle. We also have a Saturday show that will be ramping up again, which is inside the artist studio with Joe Tolliver. And then our flagship title, which is Let It Out, which Brian has been on our show several times already now. We loved having him and his artists and looking forward to talking up his new project. So enough about me. Let's talk about you and all of your guests that are going to be on here tonight.
All right, cool. Yeah, you know, Jerel has even got me to do some drawing, and I'm hashtag just a writer. So he's very persuasive.
You're multi-talented.
He's very persuasive. So what we'll do is we're going to bring in guests one at a time. We're going to ask them a few questions, talk about their projects very briefly, and then we'll rotate them out and bring somebody else in. So we're going to start off with a couple of folks who can only stay with us a little bit. So we've got a lot of people in the back room, and I'm happy to bring on the show with us right now, Shant and Jetty. Welcome, Shant. Thanks so much for being here on this launch show.
It's a pleasure to be here, man. It's a pleasure. And I'm excited to talk about your project.
Well,
that's the thing that's so exciting.
Tōrō Tales is an 88-page anthology book. It's full color, and I think to a lot of folks, most importantly, it's done. So, I mean, you know, I'm one of those that, you know, depending on circumstance, you know, I would say to you, yes, you should have it done before you launch. On the other hand, I also understand when people need things to be crowdfunded. So, but this opportunity for me is that this one's done, and I'm excited to say that it won't be long once everything's wrapped up, you know, and we go into demand that I'll be able to fulfill. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Shant, right away is, what do you think about anthologies? Have you read them, and how do you feel about those?
I actually love anthologies. I was pretty excited about anthologies when I was a kid. One of the first comics that I fell in love with and had to get make sure I went back and got all the back issues of course, was Pacific Comics Presents with that great Rocketeer story and Steve Ditko's Missing Man. And to me, when they're done right, they're the ultimate kind of playground for indie comics and the indie comic scene. And I love them to bits. They're great.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that, because that's what this is. Also, too, though, I wanted to ask, have there been any others in the indie comics community of late that you've backed?
Sure. Yeah, that would be The Lost Pages was one that I've backed, which, of course, is Phil Diaz. another just a writer who, much like yourself, is a creative fountain. And that's how we kind of get drawn into this scene, right? I mean, it's funny to me because I always admire the skill sets that I don't have, and the ones that are the most foreign to me. So when I look at things and I go, yes, I write, but I write through painting. The idea of the level of output that a lot of the writers are doing right now with anthologies and with their own story ideas, you get these massive volumes. So yeah, The Lost Pages is one of my favorite books that I'm looking forward to getting now, because so much in this one book. It's amazing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I have to say that following up on what Shanth said about anthologies, and I'm sure that that's the formula that Brian's using, is that I kind of look at it as anthologies, kind of like that, was it Quaker Oats oatmeal variety pack? I'm going to say that. I love those things because, hey, I like maple brown and sugar oatmeal, but I don't know about apples and cinnamon. Maybe I'll try that out, right? And I think anthologies are the same way. You're going to get like maybe different, like Tōrō Tales, going to talk about lots of different artists, lots of different art styles, lots of different story styles. Something that maybe you don't really know if you like or maybe are into, but that's what the anthology does. It'll maybe bring to light artists and stories, genres that you maybe would not have explored otherwise. And I think that that's what Brian's going to be bringing to the table. And I'm taking notes. The Lost Pages, I'm going to have to look that one up as well. But that's the thing that's really cool, is that also, Brian was telling me that his book is like 80 plus pages, I think.
Yep. 88 pages. Yep.
You're getting that whole variety pack. You're getting multiple flavors and style, flavors and stories. And that's what
definitely
I think
one of the things I can tell you is that the artists do run a range of styles in this anthology. We'll show the art in a little while, but one of them I'm going to say likens to a very Mobius style in his art. And then I asked the colorist, I said, do you think you can do a Mobius style? And she was like, hold my beer. So yeah, and I think she did a great job too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to folks seeing the art style in that one in particular. Now, I did say that we were going to briefly talk to folks about their own projects as well. And Shanth, your project is killing it. It is just artistically amazing, and I love that you're bringing something very rare to the table. I can't say it's unique because I do have one of mine that's entirely, all of the interiors are painted, but your style is very different than the person who's painting the Mad King. So let's talk about your book, Nosfero, a little bit. What was the catalyst to get you to start doing your book?
Wow. Well, the catalyst was ComicsGate. The catalyst was the indie comic scene and a lifelong love of comics that suddenly, with crowdfunding, it became much more democratized. And there were less, ways to stop, us from getting into the field. And what I mean by that is, if you're I'm sorry to turn it back to you, Brian, but listen, there's a lot of love coming from this direction. All right.
Yes.
But trying to pitch an anthology to people, which is something that we all love and we all get the quality of. People say anthologies, I don't know how I feel about anthologies. Trying to pitch a fully painted comic like Nosfero to people. People go, I don't know how I feel about, fully painted and what's it going to be, and it's a new thing. Whereas the community of indie comics and Indiegogo backers get so excited about this. And one of the big draws for me being here and being so excited about your book is I consider you already a master ringmaster. And your show brings that out, your way that you do things. I think that we got a brand, you need a ringmaster's hat or something, we'll work that out. But and so the idea of ComicsGate and the idea of Indiegogo scene and the idea of indie comics and the idea of all of us who find ourselves in, various different comic collecting communities going back a ways, that's what drew me in. And I wanted to do a story that was, my shorthand is Nosfero Supernatural Hero. I wanted to do a supernatural hero story with vampires that had all of the kind of pulpy elements of The Witcher and sword and sorcery, but it really comes from the Frazetta Conan that I love and, all of the great silent horror films. But it's because, much like what I love about anthologies, we're in this space right now where we can be as creative as we want to be. And in your case, and in the project you're doing right here, you're kind of, accelerating that. It's exponentially more creative because you're introducing people to so many different things. And that's the passion for me of being here.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna tell you that being the ringmaster is probably better than Quaker Oats. So
Exactly.
I think that's gonna be a definitely wise choice. Go with his recommendation, not mine. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I think I would prefer the ringmaster's hat to the Quaker dude with the really
Exactly.
white wig.
People are going to get their books and be like, "This is 88 pages. I thought it was 88 packets of oats.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
what are you doing here?"
That's right. That's
You know.
Refund? No, don't do that.
Well, but you know what it is too is that, you know, when you said that, I was just suddenly realized I could feel my Southern upbringing coming up, and I'm like, or a box of variety pack of Slim Jim, and then I thought, you know what, you know.
Oh,
But
boy.
it's no, I'm telling you right now though, I can't overstate this. I love anthologies. I love what we're able to do, which is to accelerate that, you know, R&D process of story and creativity. Here's a bunch of new ideas. Here's a bunch of amazing talent. Now just deep dive into it. It's basically like your entire Wednesday comic run in one 88-page book.
Ooh,
and I
like
love
that.
it.
Can I steal that? I like that.
Yes. it was made for you. So yeah. Do you know what I mean? I just thought of it thinking of you and your book. So it's
perfect.
yours.
Thank you, Shant. I really appreciate that. Shant, we're gonna rotate you out of the show for now.
Right.
We're gonna bring up another guest. Thank you so much for being here. We really
awesome
appreciate
art.
it.
I appreciate it.
Awesome art. Brian shared it with me, and the fact that you paint those panels, I'm gonna check it out too. So it's great.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so much, Shant. Okay, so up next, somebody who can't stay very long, and we're gonna bring up Vinnie Tartamella. How are you, Vinnie? How you doing, brother?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Hey, Vinnie.
Hey, man.
Great, thank you. So the question that we're posing to each of our guests to start our conversation is, how do you feel about anthologies?
I dig them. I think they are a good idea, man. You get a lot out of one book. What's not to like about that? And you could jump around with all kind of different story elements, and give
that's
people a lot to chew on.
The story elements, you're right. I have the opportunity to launch a bunch of different story ideas I had, and I sometimes have the issue where I can't type fast enough to get my ideas like into a script or whatever. So I just have to type like bullet points. But I think you would probably also agree, Vinnie, that this gives some new artists, colorists, and letterers a chance to try, to apply their skills in, if they're unknowns.
Oh yeah, dude, I would definitely agree on that. And I'm with you too when it comes to those writing elements, man. Because I've written my own books. I'm currently writing one right now, but it's that thing. Yeah, when you start to get these ideas, like I have notepads all over the place. Just as soon as I have something, I jot it down, or I'll be sketching something out and it'll pop in my head, and I'll write it on the actual paper or whatever I'm drawing on in my sketchbook.
So yeah, I'm with you there. Dee bought me all of these note cards, and they are just full of stuff.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, appreciate that. So Vinnie, we need to move along. So what I want to do now is talk to you about the projects you have. You have funded and fulfilled Through the Woods. You funded and fulfilled City of Venus. Mm-hmm. You have funded, and you're getting real close to fulfilling Shadow of the Kraken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Very good to hear.
Yep.
Did you just say you're writing another one?
Yeah, I'm working on a lot of stuff, man. I literally have 5 fulfilled campaigns. Shadow of the Kraken is going to be 6.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking to fulfill in the first quarter. I got a little bit. I just got a couple weeks behind because I got COVID at the start of the new year. Isn't that great?
I'm with you. I had the same thing. So.
Oh man, I hope yours wasn't bad, man. Mine. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was lingering effects. Yeah.
Yeah, I blacked out one night. I got up to use the restroom, and I was done. I opened up my door, and I'm like, why is everything spinning? And I saw spots. I'm like, I think I can make it to the bed. I didn't make it to the bed.
Oh no!
Oh man. Well, hopefully you sound like you're doing way better now. Is that true?
Yeah. It's still lingering. Like if I talk too much, I start to get like a cough that just kind of doesn't want to stop. But yeah, but the most part, it's kind of it's out. But yeah, whatever's lingering is still there. But taking it back to the books though.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had the kid book too. The one I did with my brother Frank, the Ghostly Manor on Howling Hill. That was one that was fulfilled kind of early on. I had the art books, but yeah, Shadow of the Kraken. Dude, I've been wanting to do a pirate story forever, and it's part of my connected universe. So I had the story in my head. I got it down. I had to tell it. But yeah, I'm going to be at a point now. I'll keep jumping genres. So as soon as this is done and fulfilled, I'm going to be working on City of Venus too. So
Wow.
Okay.
yeah, and that's all my books from here on out are going to be 50 pages minimum.
So
I listen to everybody. They want more. They're going to get more.
well, I was looking at Brian shared with me some of your work, and so you said this was is this all connected universe? I mean, I'm looking at the diversity of your stories, and I was like, the variety, and I was like thinking to myself, so pirates, can they be through the woods as well as on Venus? I don't know. What do you?
The way that
I mean, that'd be cool. That'd be super cool. So.
No, there's connecting elements. You're going to see things that some things are Easter eggs to other books.
Great.
But it's almost like our world history, right? We have Egyptian, we have Roman, and then you look at how we are now. So I wanted to try to build a world where it'll feel everything is lived in, everything is there, and when I make references to other stuff, you'll see again things that popped up that are again from older books. You might see it in current times or into the future book. There's a couple of very solid key parts, but again, you don't have to buy everything in order to enjoy these books. But if you do, you'll be able to see where the connecting bits are here and there eventually. So,
that's a good selling pitch. That's a good selling pitch.
It'll be very cool to look for those Easter eggs that are hidden in there, as you're trying to see the way that they're connected. I think that's a great idea. And so, if anybody were to say that, ComicsGaters don't fulfill, this is an example of someone who has, this is number 6 that's almost wrapped up, and he's working on number 7, probably number 8 and 9 are in the works too. So kudos to you, Vinny. You're a good example for us.
Number 8 is another project with my brother Frank. So it's another really cool story that I may or may not have a lot of pencils done on that.
Okay.
So,
good to know.
Well, see, that's the fun thing about jumping genres, right? So I could flex my muscles, or if something's becoming too tedious, or I don't want things to be stagnant either. So and like all the first issues of most of my books are just kind of to lay down the groundwork and get people kind of invested into these characters. And then issue 2 is always going to be bigger. So I cannot wait to jump onto City of Venus 2, because I want to show people a whole lot more what's going on, the action, all the extra little surprises, because people, they assumed a lot of different things out of that book, which I was kind of surprised by. And yeah, it's a lot different than what people think is going to happen. And I can't wait. I can't wait to surprise people with it.
If I can pretend for a moment that you're not already thinking of this, could you please make sure that you have a catch-up tier on that campaign?
Yeah.
There definitely will be, for sure.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
City of Venus, with 2 of the art books, and Through the Woods, they're all still available. So if people want them, they could still, if they put the order in, they go out the next day. That's why they call me the fulfillment king, because I'm
are
still.
Those all on CG now, Vinny?
Is that the Michael Bancroft one?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Those awesome. Should both be on there.
Okay.
So yeah, you can definitely get those. And I added an acrylic standee to the Shadow of the Kraken campaign. So those are super limited. It's something new that I'm going to start to do with each campaign. And that way people could. Right now there's roughly 50 left. It's funny because when I put it up, I was only I split the order kind of. So I did a standee with a book. And I did about 20 of those, and then I did 20 of just the standee. But I sold like 25 in the first night, so I decided just to add an extra 50 for if people just wanted, the single standee, because I'm gonna start doing it for each of my campaigns, so people could start to collect all my characters, kind of like cool little trading cards that could stand up.
I'll have that standee on my shelf in just a little while.
Well,
Sweet.
I already ordered.
yeah. When I was looking at your Brian was so kind to like let me get me up to speed with all of his guests, and I was looking here, and this is like one of the questions I really wanted to ask you. It says former lead designer at McFarlane Toys. I love McFarlane Toys. Not back when they were doing most of his, when he used to do his Spawn, and then he would do like alternate with like some of his IPs and stuff like that. So my question to you,
before he outsourced to China.
Yes. Well, I just remember like now that I see you on here, because I'm just curious. One, what specific lines were you the lead designer on under on McFarlane Toys?
It was that Dark Age Viking line.
With the Valkyrie, right? With the Valkyrie.
We had done versions for KB Toys as well. So there were two versions of each of all those figures, plus the box set with the horse.
The Frazetta-esque looking Spawn on the horse, right?
I was responsible for all of those.
Awesome.
Onimusha 2, which was based off of the I'm the guy who actually got the license in their face again. They had thrown it in the trash. I played the first game and loved it, and I'm like, why is this in the garbage? Like I literally found the folder, and he's like, oh yeah, we're passing on it. We did our Spawn Samurais, and I literally was like, dude, you know how much money the first game made? And the two guys who were running the art studio at the time, like the guy nearly choked on his lunch. He was like speaking everything. I'm like, yeah, man. Do you want to do some drawings of it? And I'm like, yeah. So like I did all the characters. I knew the stances and stuff, and Todd greenlit it right away as soon as he saw the drawings.
That's my question to you now. With your experience with that, are we going to see, Through the Woods action figures maybe in the future? Are we going to see, City of Venus figures?
I would love to at some point for sure, but these campaigns have to make a whole lot more money because figures are very expensive to cut steel in China and all that. But I said, well, that's why I decided to do the standees, because these things look fantastic. The acrylic standees, they're double-sided. I have a beautiful base on them, so it's gonna be kind of like you have your own little, not exactly a figure, but something special and cool to put on a shelf regardless.
Absolutely.
But I think it's a beautiful thing for sure. And I doing stuff for him like that, I think that's why I really wanted to jump genres a lot too, because what I was doing there, like I did designs for Shrek toys. I did again the video game stuff, Tortured Souls, so like really demented, crazy stuff, and flexing my muscles all over the place like that artistically it was so much fun. But I've always kind of been like that, and I love so many different things like Universal Monsters and samurai stuff, you name it. So like incorporating all this stuff into what I'm doing. And what I've been building over the years is very important to me, to have this great library of.
That will be fun to see. Yes, as we see the world that you're building from various time eras and all that. So listen, Vinnie, thanks so much for being on the show. Appreciate your support for the launch of Tōrō Tales, and I hope to talk to you soon, man.
Man, a pleasure. I hope you do fantastic on it, and you definitely welcome on my channel for sure. So just
I'll be hitting you up.
Yeah, man. Let me know when you want to come on, and I got 2 days out of the week that I do them: Fridays and Sundays. And Fridays are usually a little bit earlier. But and just so everybody knows, I am done with the pencils and inks on Shadow of the Kraken. I'm literally painting the last act of the book right now, and I'm into the single digits of how many more I got to finish. So,
Looking
forward
to
get my hands on that.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, thanks, Vinnie. Appreciate it. Take care, man.
Good luck.
Later, Vin. Nice meeting you.
Oh, sorry, Jerel.
It's okay.
All right. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a fine portrait painter. That's right. This is Mike Salter. How you doing, Mike? Thanks for joining us.
Mike.
So
great.
Mike and I have a unique history in that I found him in a nursing magazine. Some of you may have heard this story before.
I heard this
so
story.
If you have, I'm sorry. But yeah, he had done an ad for an ad agency that some kind of nursing program or whatever. I was in a hospital waiting room and came across that. So I contacted the ad agency and I said, put me in touch with this artist. So yeah, that was the impetus. And I said, hey, do you actually want to do a whole comic book? And he was like, wow, I never thought about that, but yeah, okay. So Mike, yeah, right. Mike was the artist on issues 1 and 2 for Siamese.
Mm.
And some of you are familiar with his stuff. You know, let me show this page. This is one of his more popular pages. Let me see if I can focus in on that.
I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why. Yeah.
But
now I'm blushing.
now Mike has agreed to come back to Dojo Kun Comics, and his contribution, to this anthology is the add-on supplemental ashcan. So he and I are working on the ashcan called Bog, and I guess if you had to break it down, I would say that Bog, it would be like my homage to maybe Swamp Thing or Man Thing, those kinds of characters.
Right.
Obviously, it's going to have my own spin on it, and I always say that my artist. What's that?
It's quite the spin.
Yeah,
it's a good spin.
Well, see, and that's where I sort of wanted to throw it to Mike, because what I want to ask is, well, one thing I always say is that the artist is just as much a storyteller as the writer is in their own way. So I'll get to asking you about anthologies, Mike, but first I wanted to ask you how you feel about contributing to this story and your spin on it as well.
Oh, I mean, this is like I'm a huge fan of Swamp Thing and Man Thing and horror, and monsters and that type of thing, and I love drawing jungles, and I love drawing mountain cliffs and organic things. So how much more fun could it be to draw a character that's botanical?
I don't want to get too spoilery, because after all, an ashcan is a pretty short story. It's 8 pages,
Yeah.
and there's going to be some additional art added to the back, various pinups in that. But one thing I can say is that, like Swamp Thing, this character has ties to the entire planet. But what
Right.
I'll also add is that it's not Earth.
Ooh.
That's correct.
So,
Yeah.
Mike does have an opportunity to do some crazy things if he wants on some of the pages, because of the fact that the vegetation can be otherworldly.
Right. That's right. But of course, I'm going a little, I'm trying to get a little bit closer to Earth in some ways to, do like philodendron types of, and banana type of leaves and things like that in jungle situations. So you get you're not so removed that it doesn't look like an environment that this guy could be in.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, and I've seen a bunch of these pages already, so I know that he's just killing it, folks. We'll be able to show you maybe 1 or 2 things. I don't want to give it away, because, like I said, an ashcan is a short story. If I gave you 2 pages, you'd be seeing a fourth of the story already. So we don't want to do that. But Mike, the next question I wanted to ask you is how you feel about anthologies.
Well, I love anthologies, and it's been a thing for me. I mean, even other than comic books and going towards the cinematic, which is probably more where I live, I always loved the old Amicus horror anthologies in the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
And Amicus, of course, was the main, I guess, the other studio in England besides Hammer that was making horror films at the same time and borrowing some of Hammer's actors to do it. But all of the thing that I love about an anthology is that you're going to have different ideas, different stories carried out differently throughout the piece. And in a book, it's going to be amazing, because to me, in the situation like yours, you're going to have different styles next to each other. I mean, it's like you'll turn a page and it's going to be a different world, completely different world, and it'll be a different vibe and a different treatment, different handling. And I love that kind of concept. I've done some anthology comic work with digest size stuff that with a regional book here that some people work on, and it's just a load of fun because everybody has a different, all the artists have a different sort of vibe and a different way of looking at how to treat a story, and that's part of the fun for me of seeing it.
Folks, something I forgot to mention when Shant and Vinnie were on is all of the links that we've been talking about for all of their projects are below in the description. And what made me think of that is, in addition to that, Mike's link to the WebToons that he's a part of right now called Amazing Grace. And excuse me, Amazing Grace looks like maybe it's a spy kind of thriller. Would that be how you'd categorize
it was supposed to be a horror thing, but I think the writer he is I don't know if he's into the horror thing as much as he's into the adventure aspect of the story. It started out with basically a battle. The writer's name is Shane Berryhill, by the way. I want to go ahead and mention the fact because he's doing some great stuff. But the story opens with a fight between Grace and Dracula.
Oh.
And as that moves along, things happen, and then we've changed from that chapter to another chapter where it's a jungle adventure, ironically enough. So I'm drawing right now. I'm in the midst of doing jungles for two different authors.
Right.
Coincidence.
So it'll be a lot of muscle memory. I like it. It'll help.
Yeah.
As long as it's not the alien jungle.
Right. It can't be
with the supernatural.
Can't have alien terrain.
Yeah, I saw a panel that Brian shared with me, and I got the action hero spy vibe. I would never have drawn a conclusion of the horror aspect of it. But who skydives with a sword though? That's
That's right.
So.
That's right. He runs into a bunch of flying bat people, which are
yes.
worse than being a nuisance. I'm just saying.
Fly the not so friendly skies.
They're not flying the friendly skies whatsoever.
That's right. So yeah, if you want to have a look at that, like I said, the link's in the description below.
It looks great.
Thank you. It's the amazing.
Thank you so much for being part of this show where I'm launching this project, but also for having such enthusiasm to draw Bog. And I'm definitely going to try and keep you involved with Dojo Kun Comics as long as you'll stay.
Oh, I'd love to do it. And future stuff. You know what I like to do.
That's right. Yep. I'll definitely hit you up. Thanks so much for being here, Mike. We're going to move on to our next guest.
Great meeting
thanks so much.
Nice meeting you too.
You guys have a good one. Peace out.
Take care.
I don't know you, Brian, but I think I'm going to have to maybe do some artwork for some nursing magazines and see if
you go. Right?
I can connect like Mike did with you.
You'll never know what kind of connection you will make when you do that.
That's right.
One of the things I also neglected to do toward the beginning of the show is I should say hello to the chat. So now that we've had some time for some people to join us in the chat, let's see who was here first. And it was Pops Van Zandt. We'll be talking to him in just a little bit. We've got Aldous on the farm just off Orwell Lane. Thank you for being here. One of the most enjoyable and fun names to say in ComicsGate is Tentacle.
Oh, that's a great name.
Isn't it, though? Very clever. Yes. Also in the chat, we've got K Manifesto. Let's see. Nicholas Gear. Thank you for being here, Nicholas. We really appreciate you in the chat. Shanthan Jetty, who is on the show, is saying hail to everybody. Thank you for also being in the chat. Hopefully you're hanging out. And we've got the link master himself, Felix Haas. I will have to go out there and wrench you. I figured out how to do that. So I'm going to go do that for a few people. Let's see. Who else do we have? Felix. I think maybe, we've got Roy Draws. Thank you so much for being here, Roy. Yeah, Jerel knows Roy pretty well. Yeah. They've been on the show together a lot, so that's cool. Let's see. Scrolling. Nope, that's the Russian bot. Never mind that one. Wow. Guys, I got to tell you, I had no idea that I would even get the attention of the Russian bots. That's kind of cool.
They must think you're broadcasting out of Ukraine or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, got to be careful with that. Okay, so thank you so much for being here in the chat. And if anybody is watching this on the replay, we really appreciate you as well. Thank you for being here and hopefully giving the book a chance. So let's see, who are we going to bring in next? Let's now go to the one we just talked about a few seconds ago, one who is a huge promoter of the of indie comics. I gotta do this. So we're giving room for Pops Van Zandt to join us. Hey, Pops. How are you, sir?
Check the time, bro. You got to launch this thing.
I know. I'm watching the time going, wow, we're just having so much fun talking. We haven't even talked about my project yet. I think we're going to go over an hour. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, either you're extending this show into the Bancroft bump or,
there's a lot of people streaming. So
as long as you got people watching, stay out here and keep talking about it. I would.
Yes, you got it.
People watch it. So sometimes you're playing to the replay, my friend.
Yep, that's true.
Sometimes you're playing to the replay. So
So Pops, I'd call you a super backer, not necessarily because you buy everybody's comics, but because you're so supportive of everyone in the community. And I think that goes a long way to, being a backer, in my opinion, even though that part isn't a monetary backer. What you contribute, I think, is super helpful. And I know that I personally appreciate it. I'm on your show, and that's what we'll talk about now is CromCon. I'll be on your show this weekend, where you spend the entire weekend promoting indie comics. What are you pointing at?
Yeah, I'm pointing at Jerel. He ain't been out in a long time.
I'm listening to this, and it brings back lots of memories. Pops is
see you, bro.
He's definitely prolific in the indie community, and he has the Krom that's coming up this weekend. And Brian, go ahead and finish your thought on that.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that I'm on his show. I'll be on Saturday night at 8:30, touting Tōrō Tales right before Bancroft comes on to run a panel on Pop's channel. So I think I'll hang out in the chat for a while. I got something to do super early in the morning, but I'll hang out as long as I can because I'm sure that'll be a fun time.
Oh man, I can't wait. I have no idea who he's decided to bring out. I don't know what his topic's going to be. And somebody like Bancroft, you just give him the key to the castle and you let him do what he wants to do.
Pops, that whatever his topic's going to be, it'll be stolen from someone else's channel. I'm just saying.
or suggested by Mel. I know.
Yeah, right. Well, Mel is the brains behind that operation. She's got the beauty and the brains. What does Mike bring to? Never mind. Let's just move on.
You gotta watch this weekend to find out what happens. Watch Brian first, and then you can see what Mr. Bancroft brings to the table. After.
That's right. So Pops, we've been asking everybody what they think of anthologies. Have you been able to back any anthologies or buy them in your indie collection?
Yes, I have a few. I got that the Cthulhu Invades Oz one that came out a while back. I have a Stoney Williams autographed one. I can't remember. It's Fiction Tales anthology. It's like a little digest size anthology.
Okay.
Stoney signed that. I don't know. I'm doing an anthology just like you.
Isn't that a good segue? Tell us about it. What's it called, Pops?
It's called Into the Kromniverse.
Okay.
So what is the thread that ties all the stories together?
The little green troll, the mascot of the comic related madness, Krom, right? This guy right here.
He's Krom, not to be confused with Conan's god.
Although we've never seen him.
That's right.
We've never seen him. You don't know. It could be. I don't know.
The guy could be an avatar. Who knows?
Yeah. I think maybe Conan just mispronounced Krom. Yeah, then
well, I mean, the pronunciation could be Krom.
Krom,
right? I mean, we're not.
We just don't know.
I'm not trying to step on nobody's four wins. Don't want to piss nobody off. Look, there were some great people that signed up for this right away. Doc Blaylock is doing a story of his own, as well as I think probably going to be drawing Lola, the indie princess, she's got a story that she's writing, and I think Doc's is gonna draw that. Paul Gomez from Bushy Boo Circus is writing a story.
How many stories are going to be in this anthology, or at least how many so far?
Dude, right now it's like I'm looking at least 10.
Wow.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
That's I say at least, because
Yeah,
even
this book's
today,
good.
like Glenn B. Fleming, you guys know Glenn, right? The Kirby guy that's making the Kirby DVD and everything.
Oh, yes. Now that
He
you
hit
said
me
that.
up. He has a long-standing comic strip called Hatch, and he hit me up today, and he's like, "Man, I don't want to let nobody else draw or write my character." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. You don't understand. You're writing this. You're drawing this. It's your character. I'm just going to consult on who Krom is, how he would react in the situation you bring to me. Okay. My only consultation is who my IP, how he would act, his mannerisms. Okay. That's my only input in the creative part of this book is my own IP. Everybody's doing a crossover with their IP and Krom. Okay. So they can either pull him into their universe, or they can write a story where he messes with them, bringing them into his dimension, whatever. I don't care. As long as it's fun, as long as people are going to laugh and have a good time, that's all I care about, And
So yeah, it does look like it's going to be a fun time.
I did actually draw my first comic page layout though for page 1.
Did you?
Okay, because page 1 has to explain where Krom came from.
Oh, okay. The backstory. Yeah.
Edwin Artex Badillo won the Comic Related Madness logo contest right there with that logo. Okay, he drew that Comic Related Madness logo for the Facebook group, and we had a big contest. A whole bunch of people drew stuff, and this is what won. Krom did not exist before this moment. Edwin drew this logo, and that's when Krom was born. He wasn't created as a comic book character. He wasn't created as any of this. Okay, he was our mascot in the group, our little troll, our little dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over time, a whole bunch of people have drawn their versions of Krom. I've got 30 or 40 different pieces of art that people have drawn of our little green dude. So right before Christmas, my buddy Ryan at Trash Can Conductor, he hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, it's like I'm moving cross country, but when I get settled, you need to do something with this." And I was like, "All right, but I ain't running no campaign. I ain't never done that. I don't got, I'm not biting into that apple. I got a big enough chunk of stuff that I already do." Okay.
So it's great then that Ryan is going to help you out with that. Yeah.
So I said, if you want to take this on, son, if you want to run this campaign, I'll talk to RJ. We'll get RJ to handle fulfillment. We'll make this as painless as possible, and we'll see if anybody wants to jump on board. Like I said, I got a freaking list of people that are jumping on board. It's crazy.
Excellent. So that's yet another book we have to look forward to. So that's very cool. So Pops, we're already at 45 minutes. I'm going to have to
on Bancroft show too. Just so you know,
okay.
I already talked to him. It's like, can I launch my book on your show? What's
Very
up,
cool.
Lorenzo? I see people popping in. You got Figaro. I want to say hi to Anthony. I do. If you're bringing him in next, pop him in so I can say hi before I go.
Well, maybe we'll have him talk in the back room. We've had a few people who have been waiting right from the very beginning, so I'd like to bring them on. So thanks, Pops, for being here for the launch. I think that what we're going to do now is we're going to take a minute to look at Tōrō Tales.
Yes,
and,
do that.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
We'll look at the campaign, and then we'll bring on another guest. Thanks, Pops. Take care.
Later, Pops.
All right, so let's see here. I need to. So we've got the sign up page.
Yeah, let's show that so that way people can hopefully still get in on that tier. But I think it's already past the time limit, right? In terms of getting in on that special price introductory tier. If they
I haven't sent out an email yet, so I think there's still a chance.
Still good. So definitely sign up for that.
So I'm going to go to window, And then let's see. Oh boy. How about this? Oh, then I have to add to the stream. Wow, folks, there's so many buttons. I gotta give kudos to the folks who do this all the time. And
Yeah, it can be a little bit daunting, but it shows the power. There's lots of stuff that we can share. There you go.
okay, so there's that, and then here's the sign-up page. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
So Tōrō Tales Volume 2, Number 1. Volume 1, by the way, was just a really short floppy. It had only 4 stories in it. This one is going to include those 4 stories, and it's going to have a lot more to it. So the sign-up page will give you an opportunity to get a discount tier when we launch, which will be in just a few minutes, I hope. The cover is going to be by Eric Ninaltowski. He's the creative mind behind Shadow Sentry. And this here, to be honest with you folks, is just a penciled and then watercolored version. This is just still a work in progress. So the final version is going to be much more detailed, and the colors will pop quite a bit more with that cover from Eric. And then down here, this is the supplemental ashcan. So this is some of the art that Mike Salter is doing with Bog. This is a close-up of the character. So, you know, another thing I wanted to show, let me see if I can do this now. Where is that? That is here. This is a preview of the campaign. So those of you who are watching, you have an opportunity to look at this campaign and the tiers before we launch. And I'm doing that on purpose so you have the opportunity to make the decision if you want to sign up and get the secret discount tier. So what I'd like to do now, if I did this right, and boy, I think sharing the window, I'm not sure if it'll work. It'll do sound. It will work?
It should work.
Okay.
Go ahead and let's try it out.
Let's give it a try.
Oh. I guess the sound isn't coming through. Oh.
No?
Oh. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but it'll give a...
Okay, so I think what I have to do in order to do that is I have to do this differently. Let me go to StreamYard, share. We're going to have to do it this way, the entire screen, share it, and then go to that. Bring it back to the beginning. Let's try it again, folks. Let me know, Jerel, if you don't hear sound.
Okay. I think you might need to share it real quick because right now there's just the two of us. Yep. Just hit the button to share. There you go.
The inaugural chapters of some of Dojo Kun.
There you go.
Boomering again. Thank you
There
for your
it is.
patience, folks.
And let's fill that screen up. Go hit the full screen.
The Tōrō Tales trade paperback brings together the inaugural chapters of some of Dojo Kun Comics' greatest characters. Characters like Sakura, Bot 42, Sovereign, Lone Shark, Sparrow, Night Mist, the Scarlet Archer, the Canadian Shill, and Halia and Andy, aka H2O.
Oh.
Featuring art by 5 different writers, 9 artists, 7 colorists, and 5 letterers, this graphic novel will be 88 pages of superhero excitement. We've been publishing comics for 6 years now and successfully crowdfunded and fulfilled Siamese. The first 100 backers receive a free BD Buddy of Canadian Shield. Back with confidence and back us. Only on Indiegogo.
That looks fantastic. What a nice promo. And,
thank you.
And then got to get that special figure. You know, sign up for that to get that special edition figure. That looks so cute.
So yeah, there's a local guy who puts those together, and he was doing a lot of the mainstream characters. And I said, dude, you want a much more fun project? You want to do something for a local anthology? He's like, yeah, what do you got? So he'll be doing those for me, and he makes each one by hand, and we're going to put them on a like a backing card, as if you were buying it on a hang tag in the store.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So yeah,
That is totally unique. You got to get that campaign just for that little cute figure, of course. But I was impressed with just the number of the creative team. You had such a deep talent pool of just. I mean, what was the numbers again? It was like 7 writers, 9 artists. How many colors?
5 writers, 9 artists, 7 colorists, and like 6 letterers.
Oh my gosh! I can't keep up with the numbers, but this goes to show you how what kind of talent that is attracted to working on this project. So it's going to be a phenomenal book.
It was also an undertaking to keep all of that straight and to get all the pages from different people at different times and make sure that everybody got compensated and all that. So yeah, it was like herding cats, but I think it worked out.
Oh well, yeah, because just like you said, this book is ready to go. It's not still in production. It's not like waiting for artists to letterers to to finish the pages or inks to get
Right.
over pencils. This book is done. So
Yes.
that 80 plus pages of just goodness, indie comic goodness ready to go.
You're right. It's 88 pages. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in another guest who had given me a suggestion on how I was supposed to handle this hour, how I was supposed to handle this show. So I'm bringing him on by way of apology because Aldous, I did not listen to your suggestion, or it just didn't work out that way.
Good evening, gentlemen. And it's okay. I'm a married man. I'm used to people not listening to me.
Hey, Aldous, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Jerel.
So Aldous, I'm sure I'll get to this. I did have the email written ahead of time, like you suggested. So a lot of things are going to happen within the next few minutes, I hope. But I did want to bring you on and ask you your opinion of anthologies.
Well, I'm a comic books fan. So when you talk about comic books and you talk about anthologies, dude, what are 2 of the... I mean, there's 3 characters, right? When you talk comic books that your mainstream people are going to go Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. Batman was first appeared in Detective Comics. Superman first appeared in Action Comics. And both of those started as what? Anthologies.
Anthologies, right?
Good point. Yeah.
When you start talking about, other books outside of Cape shit, you're going to talk about EC Comics. You're going to talk about Warren Publishing. What are they renowned for? Well, EC Comics, even before the Comics Code Authority, were all anthology books, whether it was romance, whether it was a Western, whether it was, the horror books that they were renowned for, and they were reprinted in the 90s. When you talk about Warren Publishing, well, that's EC kind of reborn after the Comics Code. And what do you get? You get creepy, you get eerie. Well, what are those? Those are anthologies. So
I am getting schooled. This is like great knowledge right here.
One of the great reasons I asked Aldous to join us, you bet.
Yeah.
So you've got, when you talk anthologies are the backbone upon which comics are built. That is where you get all your great stories. Most of your great characters either are born out of somebody else's story or are born out of a short story somewhere else, whether it's a backup story in a book or an anthology itself. So anthologies are great. We've had, some really good ones that have some really memorable stories. Professor Geek, back in the first few years of ComicsGate, he had Tales from the Stacks. You've got Zaid is on his second round of the Lost Pages, like that Shanth mentions.
Mhm.
So, you're walking in, you're not the first through the door, but sometimes it's good not to be the first guy through the door. Because what we do have in ComicsGate is a lot of people that don't have a comics background. So you've already got the groundwork laid for what people can expect. Because if you say anthology, sometimes people don't know what you mean. So having already backed an anthology, people know what they're talking about. And when you're talking about 88 pages, that's a nice, thick phone book of an anthology with a lot of good content. So my hat is off to you, sir. Congratulations. And I am just honored to be here on your launch day.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate your input, your comics knowledge. So tell us the other opportunity we have to hear your comics knowledge by the show that you're one of the panelists on a regular basis.
Well, through a very questionable lack of judgment, Lord CrackHead 33 asked me to be a co-host on CG Talk, and so every Saturday at 10 o'clock we have our little show, and by 10 o'clock I mean somewhere between 10 and 10:30 whenever we actually press the go live button. But yeah, no, it's a great show. You've got I've got 3 of the best co-hosts in ComicsGate, current company not excluded. But Snuggy Jr., OC Steve, and Lord CrackHead, they're great guys. We blended well. We love it. Man, and I tell you, just like you guys were talking about earlier, it's all about the chat, and our chat is fantastic. They bring great topics to us. They keep us motivated. They keep us. I'm not going to say they keep us on task, because they do try, but we don't really. We drift. It's a great show. I have a blast, and it's about a passion for ComicsGate, and it's right here. This is why, because you've put your heart and your soul into something. You've brought everything together. You've organized it. That takes a ton of work. So, like I said, man, my hat's off to you. This is the cherry on top of your sundae right here. And for the rest of this campaign, you're just going to be digging into the meat and enjoying the fruits of your labor.
That's right. And it'll be fun to do the grind and get onto a lot of shows. Hopefully I'll have a chance to get on your show as well, the ComicsGate Talk.
Yeah, we'd be more than happy to have you on, man.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here, Aldous. I really appreciate your input. You take care now.
Absolutely. Have a good night, Jerel.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, Jerel. So let's have a look now at a little bit more of the, if I can do this right, I'm going to share screen again.
I was just thinking that, Brian, we need to come up with some creative names, like Crackhead and ALDOUS on the farm. We need to come up with something really fun.
I go by Dojo. So
no, that's true.
That.
I need to come up with a creative name. You already got your name. Go by Dojo. Yeah.
All right, so let's have a look now at some of the art, some of the tiers and things like that. So like I said, this is the work in progress cover. So we'll jump down now to some of the artwork. This is the storyline for Bot 42, and this is the art by Ellensworth.
You might want to hit the share.
I did it again.
It's okay. It's no problem. It's okay. There we go. We can see it. All right. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
So this is the art by Ellensworth. This is Bot 42.
This looks phenomenal. Oh.
Then we've got an example page from Sakura. Sakura is cherry blossom in Japanese.
Uh-huh.
She's not a delicate flower, though, as you can see here.
No.
She's fighting all these ninjas. Got an example of the page from Loan Shark.
Loan Shark, yes.
And then here is an example from the pages of Sovereign. And this would be the one that I would, suggest perhaps is reminiscent of Mobius. Would you agree?
I would. I mean, who could pull off, that kind of color palette, other than Mobius? And right. I think your colors did a great job.
Thank you.
Of capturing that. But you didn't even have to tell me. I recognized it right away. So if
Fantastic.
You're a fan of Mobius and a fan of Dojo, you got both of them in this anthology. You got to check this out. Yep.
So as you noted on the trailer, we've got a bonus for the first 100 backers, and they'll be getting one of these BD Buddies of Canadian Shield. Canadian Shield being one of the 10 characters introduced in this book. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have his own storyline, though. He's introduced in the storyline for the Scarlet Archer. Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about the tiers. There is a tier to buy Deanna a fancy coffee. Deanna is my significant other. She is super supportive of all the time that I spend up here on these streams. I've got a room upstairs. She tolerates the comic book purchasing, but she knows all about comic book collecting because when we dated in 10th grade, she knew I was a comic book collector even back then when my comic book collection was small enough to be in a dresser. Just, laying on top of one another in the drawers. She knew I collected even as far back as 10th grade. So
wow.
She's been supportive since we got back together. So this is an opportunity to thank her for supporting Dojo Kun Comics. There is a digital tier. I know some folks really like to have it on their portable devices or maybe would like to avoid the international shipping costs, which could be a discussion and a show all its own. Mm-hmm. I won't belabor that point, but I think many of you know what I'm talking about when I say that. So this is an opportunity for folks who want to do that. This is the cover, the work in progress cover of the physical tier. So the physical tier, it'll be 88 pages, soft cover for $25. There will be a hardcover tier, limited to 50 copies. So this hardcover tier, exclusive hardcover is by The Art of Puro, which is a married couple in Italy. The husband, who is let's see, it's Andreas is the husband, and Monica is the wife. She is the colorist. The husband is the line artist. So I think they do a fantastic job here of, it's sort of multimedia, and this is their version of Sakura, and she will be on the cover for the hardcover version. There are add-ons. This is a set of chibi stickers that were done by Alex Thompson. Sorry, he did the chibi stickers on my Siamese campaign. So now he's bringing all these characters to light for those of you who like chibi stickers.
So cute.
I know, aren't they? There is a supplemental ashcan, which we talked about while we had Mike on the show. That'll be $15. It'll feature this character here, Bog. And like it says here, aliens come to visit Bog's world, and he makes it abundantly clear they are not welcome. When their demise is discovered by their leader, a more prepared force comes to visit, and what happens next changes Bog's life and all life on his planet. So this is something you definitely want to grab for just as an add-on. Also, in case you missed it, here's your chance to own the first campaign launched by Dojo Kun. This is the second printing of Siamese. You can get it as a catch-up tier. And this here has a new cover by Sai Lim. So this is an opportunity to get that. And then let's talk stretch goals for a moment. So the goal on the, did I mention that at the top? I don't think I did. The goal on this project is $5,000 US. So the first stretch goal is at 7,000. At 7,000, there will be a first appearance print included with your physical back book. First appearance of Bot 42. At 9,000, there will be an acrylic keychain of Bot 42 included, the original art, and this is also by Sai Lim. And then at 11,000, this is a bloodied Bot 42 fridge magnet. And you're welcome, Amanda. I know you're watching, at least perhaps on the replay. And I know that you love magnets. And, having heard you talk about that, you're right. It's a reusable resource. You can put it on your fridge along with all of the other CG magnets. So hopefully folks will be able to get this added to the campaign when we reach 11,000, if that happens. If we do reach 11,000, I have another set of stretch goals to be announced, but I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Oh, well, let's be optimistic. 11,000? 11,000? What? It's going to go beyond that. It's going to go beyond that. But
so, I do have other stretch goals already created, but we'll bring those up if we reach that plateau.
Right.
So what we'll do now is I'm going to, you know what? I think I'm going to push the button and
let's go live. Let's go live with this
We're
campaign.
going to go live. So the first thing I need to do, is stop sharing. So what we'll do now, Jerel, is I'm going to bring in another guest. I'll have you guys chat up a little bit. Well, maybe if you could ask him about anthologies for me.
Sure,
what I'll do is I'll go grab the CSV file and get that email out so that people can get the secret discount tier.
Will do.
So let me now bring in Kid Destructo himself, Anthony Figaro. How are you, Anthony?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Thank you so much for waiting. I appreciate your patience.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I was in the back. I was drawing, man. I was putting together this for you. I was gonna send this to you as a.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, look at that!
Check that out. I can
know. I'm the same as you. I don't know how to maneuver all those fancy buttons.
Look at that! Wow, dude, that looks amazing.
Yeah, so I'll throw some color on it for you, and then it's yours to do what you want with.
Man,
so totally appreciated. Wow, yeah. So
man.
Anthony is a great artist. He's got books under his belt. He's another one whose projects have fulfilled. He's got more in the works. So he's one of the great examples in ComicsGate of people who aren't just talking the talk; they're walking the walk. Anthony, the first thing I want to ask you about is anthologies. What do you think about anthologies?
I think I'm one of these easygoing type people. So I'm always whatever whatever works. I mean, if it's competently done, then that's it. You know, I think I like what the last guest was talking about. It's a great place to introduce characters. It's a great place to kind of, you know, feel out, well, what is the audience feeling? What are they not feeling? This is something that I think the modern day comic book is failing at. You know, is what do people want? What are people interested in?
Yeah,
You know?
I had to agree with you in terms of that, because it seems like a lot of the comic books, mainstream comics now, it's like the subject matter and the storylines are based on focus groups, not what the what odd, you know, like what your core supporters, what comics fans have been about for like decades. They just seem to be answering to a different call. Do you feel that kind of is something that's why indie comics are so much more attractive now? I think because they don't listen to those focus groups. Is that something that you feel?
Yes, I think it seems to me that what you have is the indie market is basically those people who are I'm going to simplify this, who are a bit disenfranchised with the way that things are being done in the current industry. And what by that is, I think people are recognizing the fact that you are changing the function of comics to entertain, to tell really good stories, to tell inspiring stories, and you're conflating that. Oh, comics have been about politics, and comics have been about social issues, and it's like they have, but that's not the function. They're not vehicles for that. They're entertainment things. They're places to tell stories. Right? When you compromise the storytelling aspect of it to then make sure that you get some type of specific agenda, specific ideology across, well, then you're not really telling story. You're really just creating propaganda at that point.
You are it's like you mentioned agenda and propaganda, and I think that's, and then you're talking about, well, it's supposed to be entertainment, and then when it gets mixed up with that, it's sort of like I think audience they think that audiences can't comprehend that they're not going to catch the propaganda, but they are, and that's why we're seeing that movement, you know, towards indies, because we want to be entertained. 100%. We don't want to be preached to, right?
No, 100%. I think that's the issue with it ultimately, is that you are turning this thing, and again, and you can make the argument's made, well, comics have been propaganda, and they've been these things, and again, I think this is where the argument really gets lost in translation, but it's like, got you, but you're conflating feature with function, right? Have comics been propaganda? Sure. It's not the high point of comics. It's not the point of comics where you want to be like, well, this is the standard. It's like, sure, it has. It's been a part of it, not the best part of it. So, you know, at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's a feature, but it's not it's not the function of comics to be propaganda. It is not the function of comics to push agendas and to push ideas. That's not the function of it.
You know, historically, a lot of folks would point to the X-Men as an example of an allegory of Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the thing is, although there's certainly a very relevant and obvious, you know, comparison that can be made there, the thing is, the writers at the time were not trying to push their agenda. They were using both of these characters as examples, but they weren't trying to tell you which of their approaches were correct. They just said, here are the approaches. And they didn't even say anything about those two figures in particular. What they were just doing is using an allegory with Magneto and Professor X, obviously.
Right.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I think that's the whole beauty of true storytelling. If your storytelling is not revolving around the human condition, right? If you start getting mired into, well, this group represents specifically this group represents, then you've lost the real. A true storyteller tells a story in a way that you can always find yourself. Like, it doesn't matter, because, and if I start miring it down with, well, this is a story about a specific, well, then I'm cutting out so much of my audience, instead of saying, this is about a human being who is experiencing something in their life, a change that they've never gone through before. And they have a wide range of emotions, from anger to frustration to fear. And how do they cope with these things? And ultimately, do they fall prey to their shadow, or do they rise to the occasion and become their better self? that to me, that's at the essence of storytelling. And you, and every human being who I joke and I say suffers from the human condition should be able to read a story and go, I identify with that, not because of what they look like, but because of how they're feeling, what they're going through, how they're experiencing it, how they're failing at it, how they're succeeding at it. That's good storytelling. And when you get mired into all this other bullshit, you know, you're losing the art form. You are tarnishing the art form. I think that's why you have such a huge indie push, because I think there's some of us who at one time said, okay, cool. Hey man, I got my shot at comics. Didn't happen. No big deal. And then it was like, what's going on? And then you see this thing happen and you go, well, I want to tell stories. I want to do these things. And now you have all this technology at your disposal, such as crowdfunding, being able to get on social media and have interaction with fans and clients and stuff like this. I think changes the game and allows you to go, you know what? I want to tell stories. And then allows the people who go, you know what? I want to read stories. I don't want to read propaganda. It allows us to be able to meet each other.
Exactly. Well said. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, you know, let's name drop a few things. Tell us about where you stand with Just the City Chronicles.
Where I stand with it, it's a great book. Everyone should buy it.
You heard it first. You heard it first here. It's a great book.
You know what I mean? It's you. I said this about my other one, but you deserve it in 2022 with everything that's happened. You deserve this book. Be good to yourself and go ahead and get it. You know?
All right. So, assuming I've already backed it, when will I be holding it?
Okay, gotcha. So we're in the final stages now. Me and Marcus is handling production, but we're really hoping to get it to the printer by mid-Feb, and by the end of Feb, early March, have it shipping out.
Awesome.
So it's about in there. It's almost in the can now. It's basically us making sure that the final pages are colored properly. He's got to put letters on them and whatnot, and then just kind of format everything. But
great.
It's there, man. You know?
It's definitely a book I'm looking forward to. There's so many that are coming out. I'm probably going to get in trouble for all the books that are going to be coming to the house.
Yeah, I am. I'm happy to. I was happy to work on it. I'll be happy to get it into readers' hands, mainly because it's a great book. Looks great. Marcus did a great job in taking something that we worked on a long time ago, bringing it up to date, and really making it something that we always thought it should be. And I'm excited about that, because as soon as we get the proofs in, I'm going to launch God's Hand Volume 2 sign up page, because that's my baby. And as soon as we're finished with that, I'm going straight into God's Hand Volume 2. Probably run that for maybe a month, maybe 2 months for a sign up, and then launch that and get that going.
All right. Well, when you do launch that, please remember to reach out to me
100%.
And we'll have you on Dojo Kun Shill Shack. We definitely want
100%,
to
brother.
put eyes on that project and have a look at it on my show.
I'm excited to see this, man. Like I said, I was sitting in the back and I was like, man, let me crank this out, man. So I started doing this and whatnot, man. So
awesome.
It looks
really
good.
appreciate it. I
really
can't wait
does.
to get that. I thank you so much for doing that.
100%, brother. 100%.
Okay. So, Anthony, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for being on the launch stream. We will talk to you soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Nice meeting you, man. Nice meeting you.
Absolutely, brother.
Later.
Anthony, as you can probably tell from his accent, he's from Nolans.
Yeah, I was going to say. I had a good time. Just he could say anything, and I was just
right?
I was listening to him like, yeah, you could recite War and Peace, and maybe I would.
He should have been a disc jockey. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm looking.
Right,
I'm looking forward to seeing some of his work there too. But that'd be really cool.
All right. So here's what we're going to do now. I've got the email all set to go. I only have to hit send. So the only thing that's left to do before hitting send is launching. So what I want to do to launch is bring on the guy who was my co-host for nearly a year. Mm-hmm. He was my backstage producer for about 6 months on my show, the co-host show, and a good friend over the course of since like October 2020, K Manifesto. Thanks for being here, Kevin. Really appreciate you being here.
Hey guys, no, it's great to be here. Good to see you, Brian. Jerel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It's kind of like old times.
That's right. So what we're going to do now, Kevin, is we're going to launch, and I wanted you to be here at the time we launched. So I'm sorry that you had to wait so long. I appreciate your patience. And this is the part where it's really nerve-wracking because I don't want to boomer this. This is like the important. I don't have a huge like super loud countdown though, I'm afraid. So I'm just going to go out there and launch it. And then I'm gonna come back to you guys. I'll share the screen, and we'll see that it's live. And then I gotta send that email. So I'm gonna go do that right now.
Right.
Jerel, if you could talk to Kevin for me about anthologies, please.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Well,
All
yeah,
right.
it's obviously I've had a chance to hear what others have been saying, and it's funny because as far as like growing up, for some reason, the one that sticks out to me, the anthologies, was GI Combat, which DC Comics.
Yes, I do remember reading some of those too. Yeah, tell us about your experience. Yeah, let's.
Well, I mean, even when I was younger, I remember seeing books on the stand, and occasionally you'll see like an action or detective.
Mm-hmm.
There's a supplemental story, which I guess I don't know if that's technically an anthology. But it was even better when there was two other stories backed up in it. So I definitely think anthologies are great for new readers. As far as in CG, I know there's been several over the years, or at least in the time that I've been here. But I'm actually a first timer when backing one. So this will be my first anthology.
Whoa. Okay.
But no, it's kind of neat. I know Brian, there's a lot more characters that he's mentioned in the past. I'm not sure what is he calling it? Tōrō Tales? Or
yes.
Tōrō verse?
It was Tōrō Tales, but he did say to me that Brian is always writing. He's always coming with he's only introduced like a handful. I think he has like over 100 characters that are still waiting in the wings that are going to be introduced maybe in future anthologies or future books. But I'm sure you'd be honored to hear that this was like, you said this is the first crowdfunded anthology project that you're going to be backing.
Yes,
oh, man,
the first one.
He's not here to hear that. Oh my gosh! But I'll make sure that he'll watch it in the replay and stuff like that. But
So I know he's talked about other characters, and I know he had a previous book, and you kind of got a chance to see various characters. But what I wasn't clear, how many stories are actually in this? Do you know? There's a lot of writers or a lot of illustrators and such. But
can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you.
Oh, okay, good. There are 9 stories in this book.
9 stories. Yeah.
I'm finding that Indiegogo is forcing me to put in frequently asked questions. Okay.
It's like, I just want to go live. Why do I have to answer questions?
How do you launch a page?
Yes, exactly. So I guess, Brian, you did hear that Kevin this is going to be the first crowdfunded anthology that he's going to be in. Supporting.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And I hope that you find that having so many stories with, like the other guests were saying, the various styles and not just artist styles, but storytelling styles, because as I mentioned earlier, there are 5 different writers involved on this. It's not just all me. So, some of the stories are written by me, but I had the opportunity to invite some other writers to contribute to the stories as well. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I was asking Jerel, I wasn't sure what you called your universe. Is it Tōrō verse or?
Oh, I see. So this anthology is Tōrō Tales, and we're just going to call it the Dojo Kun Comics universe.
Oh, okay. Yes, Tōrō Tales is the anthology name, but yeah, it's all part of Dojo Kun. But yeah, I'm sorry if I misspoke about that. So, but
no. Well, I know this is probably, Brian, I guess just sort of scratching the surface of all the characters that you have created or been a part of.
Yeah, that's true. I have, you know what? It keeps removing the state. I've heard some other people talk about that before, where it keeps removing the state from the page.
The state, like where you're launching.
Confusion or
mental state.
That would be apropos, right? So I don't know. Maybe I have to pick.
Is it like the state of origin?
Exactly.
Where you're
like
launching
where
the campaign?
I'm based from, right?
Yeah, I have heard that it is very important to do that because there's from an analytics standpoint, you want to definitely make sure that if wherever state you're coming from, hopefully it's a populous state, and you make sure that it's a state near a large city too. Because I've just heard some horror stories about like, if you're an indie creator and you launch and you're like from some small village that's in Virginia, like
Right.
in the Appalachian Mountains, then it's not as I don't know, for some reason they have a targeted demographic that they can kind of like broadcast to. So better for you to like say I'm from Northern Virginia near Washington DC or something like that versus like something small. But yeah, just
Okay.
make sure you put whatever state that you're coming from. Michigan, I guess, so make
That's
sure
right.
that that's all spec'd correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to the anthology things, I don't know, Kevin, if you overheard my little comparison about the oatmeal variety pack.
Yes.
But I feel the same way. Anthologies are great ways to be introduced to a comic universe, because that way you can get an idea of all the offerings. And when Brian put this together, he told me all about it. You get to see all these characters, or more of his characters, from the Dojo Kun universe. And they're not going to be in their individual books just yet. But it'll be a nice introduction to them, so that way you can get a flavor for where Dojo Kun is coming from. Is that your feeling about
Yeah, definitely. I think just from the little that he was showing there, you do start getting a sense of what's going to be in there, sort of the vibe there. There's every single one looks different, and based on that, I'm sure it's written a little different as well. See, I think it's an opportunity for anyone that's new just to comics in general. I don't know, it kind of gets your feet wet and get a taste of everything that's going on in the Dojo Kun Comics.
it's a
That
mouthful.
might be an easier way to say that, but
He's gonna have to have like an acronym, like the MCU or the DCU. It's gonna be the
right.
the DKU universe, because maybe there's going to be a movie universe, because Brian's campaign is going to be so successful that Netflix is going to be beating down his door and saying,
Wow.
we want to put Siamese into production on Netflix. So
From your words to God's ears, my friend.
so we'll see. But yeah, that's the thing. Was I'm looking at the artwork, it's like it does have a nice all the art that I've seen, it could easily translate to some sort of animated series. And why stop there? Who would we like to fan cast for like Siamese, Brian? So like if you could pick any actress to don the Siamese costume, who do you think it would be?
Brenda Song. Oh, but not that I thought about that or anything.
Well, you take time. Take your time to think about it.
Right.
Whatever. I'll let you think about it, and then I'll put Kevin on the spot. So, Kevin, if you were to fan cast somebody for Siamese, who do you think would?
Oh, I remember having this conversation back when we were even doing the show. Brian definitely had an individual in mind. It would take me a few minutes to kind of think about that one. Because then are you trying to get two people, or are you just trying to get one person to play both?
That's something to think about. And you can't help but think also about like with the new Batman movie coming out. Not to say that Siamese is that way, but I was just saying that we have Catwoman, and it's been played by many different roles, and we had Zoe Kravitz, and I was like thinking to myself, I never would have thought of her in that role, but then I saw the trailer and I was like, you know what? If she decided to back out of that, she could always find a home at doing Siamese as well. I think she could
definitely
do that.
And I think too, it just depends on the story.
Yes.
Some actresses can carry different stories maybe a little better or a little different or more inclined to what's going on. So wow, there's so many options out there.
Yeah, and then there's the whole thing about Siamese, because obviously some people will draw some comparisons to Catwoman, but it's not Catwoman. I'm just going to tell you that it's not. And there's the whole what's the word? There's the whole the feral side that you have to show. And you were talking about actresses being able to pull off, certain aspects of a character. So you had to like consider that as well. So
right,
like,
it's kind of like on the surface, it's like, oh, that's just Catwoman or something. But like you said, you know, as you get further into the story, you realize, yeah, not exactly.
That's true. Yeah, I think that there's so much to consider, and I was just sorry if I was laughing because there was a comment here, and I don't. Since I'm a co-host, I haven't got a chance. I don't have the power to pop up a comment here, but there was one comment from one of my co-hosts on ComicsCast, and he said, "I say Jerel should do it. His range is incredible." So I was laughing. I said, "You don't want to see me in a cat suit." I'm sorry. I'm going to say that's not a good idea. Not if not if Dojo wants to be successful. You don't want to see me in a cat suit. I'm just gonna have to
Is
say
that Victor?
Right. Yeah, that's Victor.
Victor. Okay.
Yes.
So at least you know him, so that's good.
Yes, I do, and so I can. I was laughing at that comment, but yeah.
Speaking of the chat and people in the chat making comments,
Yep.
I noticed that Amanda B has joined us. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda. And
Hey, Amanda.
I also noticed her comment that perhaps I should type the entire word out instead of just MI. So I'm giving that a go. I seem to remember, I think she's right. I think that was a thing that perhaps John Malin brought up in a stream just recently. And ooh, it says ready to go live, folks.
Oh,
so I can hit the launch campaign button right here, right now. I'm hitting launch. It says launching. I think that it worked.
Yes.
So
thank you, super chat expert Amanda B.
That's
for helping us out.
She is more than just a pretty face and a super backer. She is knowledgeable in these things.
Yes. Thank you so much, Amanda B.
So now I should go see if I do this.
I always feel I need to have
the campaign. To the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. All right. So now, as soon as it's done with its little blue circle, I'm going to share screen and bring up the campaign. But
I threw the link in the chat.
Thank
there
you,
as
sir.
well.
Oh yes.
So I need to go to StreamYard and do this. Sorry.
It's okay. I was about ready to say I feel left out that I don't have the resonating icon like you guys have. It's like
I'll be back on screen in just a moment.
I was just like going, yeah.
Now I'm remembering to hit add to stream.
Here we go.
And can you see the campaign now?
Yes, and we see the back it button is live. So
awesome. So while we've got this and it's finally launched, what I'd like to do is I'd like to play the trailer again for anybody who joined us after I played that, and you guys will get a gist of the storyline, and you'll hear the dulcet tones of the voice of Lenore.
Here we go.
It's muted.
Yeah, your volume icon. Lower left.
Latest characters.
It's all good.
The Tōrō Tales trade paperback brings together the inaugural chapters of some of Dojo Kun Comics' greatest characters.
I love the music.
Characters like Sakura, Bot 42, Sovereign, Lone Shark, Sparrow, Night Mist, the Scarlet Archer, the Canadian Shield, and Halia and Andy, aka H2O. Featuring art by 5 different writers, 9 artists, 7 colorists, and 5 letterers, this graphic novel will be 88 pages of superhero excitement. We've been publishing comics for 6 years now and successfully crowdfunded and fulfilled Siamese. The first 100 backers receive a free BD buddy of Canadian Shield. Back with confidence and back us. Only on Indiegogo.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I know. I was telling you, I was like, I love the music. It has that nice 80s vibe going on.
Yeah. Who did the voiceover?
The voiceover is a CG regular named Lenore. She's the one.
Yeah, Lenore. Okay.
The pink hair. Yeah. She did a great job on that. She just recently put out a tweet saying that if you needed her voiceovers, pick her up on Fiverr. And I did immediately because I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll put her voice to it. You know, each campaign I do, I'll have a different voice on there. So that's fun.
So I'm trying to check my emails, and
You're not seeing that? All right,
not
let me
yet.
see.
May take a little while for I don't know who the mail service is for it. Is it through Indiegogo's like thing, or is it through
No,
like
I'm sending it
mail
via
ship?
Gmail.
Gmail? Okay.
I grabbed everyone's address and I sent it out through Gmail. So you know,
Okay, I just got it.
you got
There
it.
you
Okay.
go.
All right,
Yeah,
excellent. Very good. Very good. So let me see here. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Amanda was right with spell it out. Appreciate that. She says, wait, she said, if that doesn't work, I might recall. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. And then here's Victor.
Ignore that. Ignore that.
Victor and I just met on Jerel's show last Friday. So thank you for being here, Victor. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Pops is right. He says Lenora's awesome. Yes, she is. She's great to work with. She sounds awesome. She got it to me early. You know, they tell you allow a certain length of time before you get the results from your order from Fiverr, but she got it to me right away, which I appreciated. And she did a great job. So, yeah.
So I have a question, Brian.
Yes, sir.
So I know in the past, on your previous on Siamese, you basically did a whirlwind tour. I believe it was over 80 streams, right?
80 shows. Yes, sir. Yep.
Do you have those sorts of plans for this one?
I do. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm losing my mind, I think, because what I'm doing is I'm going to launch this one tonight. And then on February 18th on Bancroft Show, I'm launching The Shifter. So I'm going to have 2 live campaigns concurrently. And I'll be out on the grind, visiting various shows to push those 2 books, to put, hopefully get eyes on them. Now, I reached out to Shay from Red Valkyrie, and she said she's absolutely, honored to be asked, and she's going to have me on her show, but she wants to do them each on a separate show. So I think that's pretty cool that she's willing to do that, to give me the spotlight on each of those 2 projects on two different streams of hers, which I thought was pretty cool.
Man, I'm gonna put the word. I'm gonna say it right here, right now. You're also welcome on ComicsCast. You just let us know when you're ready to make sure we hit the social media algorithm and in stride to make sure that people know about all of your projects, and being comms with me. And I'd be more than happy to have you on ComicsCast.
Thank you. Yes, what we'll do is I'll see if I can't grab 1 or 2 of the artists to join me like I did before, where you did your Let It Out, and we'll have the 3 categories that you guys do, and
Exactly.
I'll have my little sketch pad there,
and you'll be drawing with us too. You will be drawing.
I'll draw. Yeah, I'll draw. You guys can all laugh at my meager attempt because I'm #just a writer.
No, we're not going to laugh. We're going to be in awe of your artistic skills. That's
Okay. You're trying to butter me up.
You should compile a list of all the places you go and maybe put it into one sort of. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, Kevin's being a little ironic here, but I appreciate the segue. So when I did that the last time for Siamese and went on 80 shows, he's right. I kept track of all of the places I visited and put those into a spreadsheet. And then on Kevin's show, the K Manifesto Show with Dojo Kun Comics, we did a release or a sort of like a launch of CG Guide. So that CG Guide has CG streams, but not just CG. I'll be honest with you. We also have CG adjacent people who they're not necessarily declared as CG, but they're also friends of folk. They're not trying to be anti or pro. They're just out there making great comics, and they're friends with people. They're not going to disassociate with us. I've had some guests on the show, and I include them in that CG guide. So if you go to my website, which is dojokuncomics.wixsite.com Dojo Kun Comics. You'll find that CG guide and a lot of other projects that I'm working on with Dojo Kun Comics. There will be some things there to show you upcoming projects, and also too the 12 books that I published over the last 6 years are available as print to order floppy comics. So yeah, that's another thing I should mention, that you can back my books with confidence, because I have fulfilled a campaign before with Siamese, but I've also been publishing for 6 years. So this is not something new to me. I've accomplished, wrangling those cats, getting all the various artists and colorists and letterers together, and put out these books. And I'm in this for the long haul. I have 4-issue miniseries called Deanna, Hammer of the Angels, which follows right on the heels of Siamese. And then after those 4 issues are done, I have 8 issues of Trident's New Alliance written, which brings together all of the characters from Siamese and Deanna, Hammer of the Angels. So, I've got a lot of scripts written already. I'm ready to bring those to the masses, as many masses as I can bring it to. So, it's fun to be a part of this. I'll say network, not community. Community is a word that too many SJWs use. We don't want to use the word community. We want network.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
You know what? It's a community, and let's be honest.
Yeah, I think we just need to sometimes push past words that have labels. And then return the normal meaning to words, what they're supposed to be before they got hijacked by certain things. So
that's right. Yeah, I see that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to tell you. It's like I to get back to what Anthony mentioned before. Let's just get back to telling good stories, right? It doesn't matter. Right. It's telling good stories with great sequential storytelling. Phenomenal talent when it comes from inking or lettering, and let's just tell the stories for entertainment. And that's what we should get back to, tell those good stories.
You're right. Absolutely. So I want to say hey to Sugar Chris. Thanks for being here, Sugar. I appreciate being on his show a few times as well. And I scrolled back up and I see that we were also joined by the Day Later. Thanks so much. And his question, I was thinking about that tonight and had the question, why were none of Stanley's X-Men Black if it was all about civil rights movement? I think that what Stanley was going for was a diversity in... actually, Stan Lee's X-Men, if you go way back to the very beginnings with Magneto and Professor X, a lot of those characters were white. I think that, but you got to remember that was during the 60s. And I think that there was a little bit of a stigma at the time. It wasn't right, but it was a little bit of a stigma to introduce characters of color. Thankfully, when they got to the new X-Men in issue, I think it was 94. Yeah, in issue 94 or 98. It's one of those. But when they got to them, they decided to not only diversify with people of color, but also people of various nations, which I think was a great idea. We had a Native American, a Canadian, a Russian, Aurora was from Africa. We had a German. So I thought they did a great job then to diversify and have, examples of various characters and from various backgrounds, which I thought really it fleshed out the X-Men, in my opinion, because was it Chris Claremont as early as that issue?
I think it wasn't Chris Claremont. It was, he stumped me. He totally stumped me. I just remember it was Dave Cockrum, I think.
He was the artist at that time.
And I forgot who the writer is. And, I'm going to have to go back and look that up. But I'm embarrassing myself.
Aldous in the chat says, yes.
Oh,
Claremont's
was him?
First Uncanny X-Men was 94.
Good.
Claremont, he's one of the artists, he's one of the writers that I point to as a gold standard. Chris Claremont and Marv Wolfman were both really firing on all cylinders at the time of the new X-Men and the new Teen Titans.
Yes,
both of those. Let's see. Yeah, he's right. It was X-Men retitled as Uncanny.
I remember I didn't even know what uncanny meant, but when I saw that, I was like, as a elementary schooler, I said, uncanny. I'm going to use that any opportunity that I got. That's uncanny. It's like, that's the best uncanny macaroni and cheese I've ever had. But I have to tell you, comics for me when I was growing up, it increased my vocabulary. It made me aware of so much more, you know, the multiverse, alternate realities. You know, I think that for anybody that says that comics are just funny books for kids, you know, they haven't read a comic book. They don't know where it's, you know, there's so much to learn.
You know, speaking
well.
of learning of vocabulary, the one I always point to was an issue of The Flash. The art was by Carmine Infantino at the time. I'm not a huge Infantino fan. I know he's got a style that some people love. I'm not a huge fan of that. But while I was reading The Flash, I learned that the disease that John Merrick had, the one known as the Elephant Man, is neurofibromatosis. And I learned that from reading The Flash. I mean, of all places, you know, I learned that this really long involved medical term from where? A comic book. So you can learn so much. You're right. My vocabulary was increased by reading comic books for the last 47 plus years. Talk about dating myself, huh? But yeah, the first two books I owned, the first two comics I bought them both on the same day, was Amazing Spider-Man number 196, Requiem, and the Uncanny X-Men number 126, which was called How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth. And it wasn't until a few years later that I learned that that's actually a passage from the Bible.
Yes, it has
so
sounds biblical.
What's funny is I knew that title years before I ever read the Bible. When I got to that line in the Bible, I was like, wait a minute. What?
I heard that. I heard that in comic books.
That's an X-Men
thing.
multiverse.
The X-Men were in the Bible, right? That's what I heard, But yeah, it's great to hear that, you know, because I think that's what if we get back to telling those really good stories, it's such a rich ground for you to really, you know, develop characters and tell these stories. And it's just sad when it gets convoluted, you know, it gets polluted with other stuff. And that's what I like about the indie scene. I like that it's a return to maybe getting back to that core storytelling and not pushing agenda and stuff like that. So
totally agree. So talking about comics that don't push agendas,
let's talk about a great anthology.
That's a lame segue, but I'm going with it anyway. So I'm going to share that. We're going to go here. And what I'd like to do is just quickly go through the tiers one more time. But rather than in the bulk of the campaign here on the left, what I want to do is go down here on the right. So there's a different picture of Deanna and I. And, you know, there's an opportunity. Am I not sharing again?
Yes. That's okay. It's all right. No, we can see it. Kevin was like biting his tongue. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. But now we see it. We see it. Yeah.
You can see it. All right. So there we go.
There it is.
I see it.
So here we are. We're at, I think it's Texas Steakhouse. We're at But yeah, so there's an opportunity to buy her a fancy coffee if you'd like. You can get the digital tier for $15. That will feature the regular cover as soon as Eric is done with that, and we get the colorist on it. The physical. Oh, so yeah, you know, somebody mentioned it in Twitter, and it is mentioned here on the campaign, but I'm going to say it out loud here, and that is that this is an homage cover I asked Eric Ninoltowski to do. This is an homage to Amazing Spider-Man number 196, which was an Avengers West Coast variant. And I know Kevin's going to say, wait a minute, variant, you hate variants. But but the layout of this one was so well done. And, you know, fortunately or fortuitously, it featured 10 characters. And that's exactly how many new supers are featured in my anthology here. So that's why I asked him to do this one. The hardcover is just like Siamese. I'm going to have 50 available and only 50. There isn't an upper tier though, which includes it. So there's just the 50 in this tier right here for $40. There is a retailer tier for $225, and this retailer tier is 10 of them, 10 physical copies of the soft cover. Now the cover you see here is the floppy that was introduced by Dojo Kun Comics several years ago. This isn't the cover that will be on the retailer tier. The retailer tier is going to be the Eric Ninoltowski cover. Just for those of you who know, I'm going to have to fix that on the campaign. As I'm scrolling down, I just noticed that. And also too, I want to show the add-ons one more time. Let me get down to those. There's the chibi stickers.
Cool.
So there's 9 stickers, but 10 characters because Halia and Ondine are together on their own sticker. And then the supplemental ashcan for $15 and with art by Mike Salter and includes the story about Bog.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully if you didn't get Siamese, you'll take advantage of the opportunity to get this catch up and get a soft cover version with a second printing cover by Cy Lim. Cy Lim is a New Zealander, and he works for a company called Mighty Ape, which I would liken to the New Zealand / Australian version of Amazon.
Ooh, okay.
They sell
Cool.
they sell all sorts of things, and his art is when he's working for them, it's very cartoonish. All of the characters that he does, somehow Mighty Ape has license to do Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Harry Potter, so many different characters. And what he does is he draws those characters in ape form, but in a cartoony style. It's, I mean, he's really, really good at all sorts of different styles. This one here, he claims that this one's sort of halfway between Western style comic books and his cartoony style. It's sort of halfway in between. He can go full cartoon and he can go full Western style. And I keep hitting him up trying to get him to do artwork for me, but he's super busy with Mighty Ape. I think he's one of only 2 artists that work for them, so he doesn't have an opportunity yet. But he said when he is free, he's going to do something for Dojo Kun. So I'm really looking forward to that. So the stretch goals we'll go over one more time before we close the stream, and that is so the goal for the stream or the goal for the campaign is $5,000. The first stretch goal is at $7,000, and it's a first appearance print of Bot 42. At $9,000, there will be an acrylic keychain of Bot 42, and then at $11,000, a blighted Bot 42 fridge magnet. So hopefully we'll get that far. And then if we do, like I say here on the screen here, if we get to 11,000 and that's included, there will be more stretch goals announced. They've already been decided. It's not going to be like, ooh, what do I do now? So it'll definitely, they're already decided. There's 3 more stretch goals already chosen. So we'll get to those hopefully if we get to 11,000. For anyone who can't back, if you could still, hit your Facebook, any socials, tweet it out if you can. Every eye that gets on it is very appreciated. And what I'm going to do before I thank everyone is I'm going to refresh and see if we have any backers yet. Fingers crossed. Got $75 with 3 backers already. All right, great start. Thanks so much, everyone. Sorry for going way longer than I thought, but truly appreciate the eyes on the project, the great guests that came on the show. My co-host Jerel Motos. I appreciate your time, buddy. I love being on your show, so it was awesome to have the opportunity to have you on mine.
My honor, my pleasure.
K Manifesto, Kevin Williams, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be here, and congratulations and good luck.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Congratulations.
I want to say a thank you out to Mike Salter, Vinnie Tartamella, Anthony Figaro, Pops Van Zant, Shanthan Jetty, and Aldous on the Farm, just off Orwell Lane. Now, a lot of those guys were in the chat. So thank you so much for, helping keep the chat going and, with your input and all that. But also, too, I want to thank all of you who were in the chat that weren't on the show. Your eyes on the project is very much appreciated. And hopefully you'll have an opportunity to back this project and get it out to everyone. So thanks again, everyone. Hail ComicsGate, hail the chat, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks so much.
See you guys.
Bye now. Bye now.